Hello Realmologists, you are watching TCNN Realm Lore, and today we'll be discussing the Cerium Super Conflict. One of the most pivotal and significant conflicts in Realm history was the long Cold War between the New Cerium Republic, NCR, and the Andromedan Empire. Establishing itself as an incredibly complex political situation and a reflection of both countries' policies, the conflict would set the tone for political struggles that lasted the entire server's end. The NCR Andromeda Cold War was also known as the Cerium Super Conflict. It's generally considered to have started at the first siege of Fort Redemption and ended at the second siege of Fort Redemption. Although some realmologists believed that the conflict began the moment the Beach Treaty was signed, ending the Great War, the truth of the matter is hostilities simply did not begin until the first siege. Although it is undeniable that tensions between the Andromedan Empire and the NCR rose as a direct response to the Great War, especially considering Andromeda's role in the destruction of the NCR capital city, Utopian City, during that conflict. The true reason Andromeda initiated the first siege of Fort Redemption, kickstarting this massive international conflict, comes down to the finances. The Great War was the single most expensive conflict in realm history. While future wars may have been more destructive and tragic, the Great War depleted the treasury of an already financially weak Republic of Andromeda, which was forced to provide for its alliance members Basia and New Jerusalem. Andromeda crawled out of the Great War on the verge of financial collapse, and believing that the NCR was the wealthiest nation on the server, they set their sights on what they assumed would be an easy target. During the Great War, Holy Cerium Empire, HCE, head General Lucas Bergonia ordered the construction of a backup fortress near the NCR capital. However, the installation was not completed before the end of the war. After the Beach Treaty restored the NCR's independence from the HCE, NCR President Joshua Winstanley resumed construction of the fort. It is important to understand that the NCR emerged from the war incredibly poor as well. The belief that the NCR was hoarding secret wealth was a fabrication spread by Winstanley to bolster the Republic's post-war reputation. On March 21st, the Empire of Andromeda launched a small-scale invasion of Fort Redemption. As expected, the fort proved to be an easy target, and after a brief battle, the Empire swiftly seized control. Emperor Locke of Andromeda then met with Winstanley to negotiate the fort's ransom, only for Winstanley to reveal that the NCR was actually significantly poorer than Andromeda. Defeated and humiliated, Emperor Locke withdrew his soldiers from the fort, as his military was already stretched thin by the post-war occupation of the Cerium Federation. This event, while seemingly insignificant, would destroy diplomacy between the NCR and Andromeda. NCR saw the siege as a major victory, believing they had outmaneuvered the world's dominant military superpower through cunning deception. In contrast, Andromeda viewed the withdrawal as an embarrassment, determining that they would need to prove their military might in the future conflicts to avoid being taken advantage of. These contrasting perceptions severely diminished the will for peace in both countries, locking them into a long-term hostility. Andromeda would go to fund the creation of the terrorist cell HTIC for interior bombings and kidnappings within the NCR, targeting the Iron Farm and Mending villagers the NCR had recently acquired. The Iron Farm operated for only 2 days before HTIC obliterated the installation and executed the hidden Mending villager. While the NCR suspected Andromeda had funded the terrorist organization, they lacked concrete evidence to bring the Empire to international court. Despite this, the Iron Farm bombing essentially made war a certainty, pushing both nations to prepare for conflict. By this point, the coalition had since dissolved, and Andromeda had no significant military allies. The NCR saw this as an opportunity to strengthen its military power when Stanley initiated the Ring, inviting several smaller countries to join. The Kingdom of Japan and the Shamrockian Federation formally signed on. In preparation for a potential NCR attack, Andromeda fortified its defenses, constructing the iconic cobblestone walls that surrounded the entirety of Red River Village, their capital. As a final provocation, Andromeda annexed the central Cerium corridor, pushing the NCR's borders west by roughly 90 blocks. The corridor, which held no significant infrastructure or purpose other than serving as a demilitarized zone, DMZ, between the two nations, was ceded by Winstanley in a bid to stall the war. He publicly declared that the NCR had no intentions of going to war with Andromeda, and several peace summits were held in an attempt to de-escalate tensions. However, these peace efforts were ultimately collapsed when Andromedan Border Patrol intercepted an NCR platoon at the Andromedan Enderman farm. Although the farm was typically a public installation, it had been closed to the NCR at the beginning of the conflict. The resulting standoff, though bloodless, shattered any remaining hopes for peace, making war inevitable. On May 22nd, nearly 2 months after the first siege, the conflict officially broke out. The Shamrockian Federation was struggling economically, and the Kingdom of Japan was facing leadership issues, leaving the NCR vulnerable. Andromeda seized the opportunity, launching a full-scale assault. The second siege of Fort Redemption was underwhelming, with Andromeda once again capturing the fort with ease before pushing into Utopian City. Initially, the Empire intended to annex the city, but their plans changed dramatically after a shocking act of sabotage. Joshua Winstanley, presumed to be acting in desperation, infiltrated the historic keep in the center of Rudd River Village and detonated explosives at the home of local legend Drew Rudd. Many believe this to be a suicide attack, and Winstanley was presumed dead. In retaliation, Andromeda made an example out of Utopian City, reducing it to rubble. Winstanley, however, would go missing for nearly 3 months before making a decisive return to the server. Utopian City remained in ruins for the remainder of the server's existence. Although Andromeda seized firm control of the NCR's former lands, they never sought to develop the region, instead focusing on Rudd River Village and preparing for the looming war between Basia and Cerium to the far south. The Cerium super conflict cemented Andromeda's reputation as a warmongering imperialistic power, a label that would plague their diplomatic endeavors for the rest of the server's history. You're watching Realm Lore on TCNN. Have a great day, and we hope to see you again soon.